The bitch went nuts. She stabbed my basketball.
Alright, still with me? Good. Okay, so, expanded universes, Star Wars. Okay, so, it was actually Marvel Comics that really, got the ball rolling with the whole, expanded universe deal with Star Wars, because almost immediately after the movie, Marvel, secured, the rights to, make a comic book version of the movie in individual issues they would link together. And, when the movie was over, they continued producing material that would, say, what happened next with the story with Han and Luke and Leia and all that. And so, yeah, that was, I'm pretty sure Len Wein, creator of Wolverine, was the guy that was most responsible for securing that, which really helped Marvel out at a time of, we'll say, slight financial instability, and kind of just like DC coming out of the 70s. And one of the things that sort of helped stabilize them going into the 80s. So anyway, it's kind of funny because in those comics, sometimes the stuff that happened is perhaps questionable because they didn't really have much of a heads up of what was going to come in the next movie. And some issues are, the term is hilarious in hindsight sometimes because there are sometimes brought up moments of perhaps romantic tension between Luke and Leia, which is, good for a laugh. Anyway, and they continued doing this as the movies came out in issues, and this is something I own. It's not in really great shape. The cover actually comes off. This is a special supersized edition of the issues that make up the comic version of Empire Strikes Back, and this is all of them together in a large format here. So yeah, so Marvel really got the ball rolling. They were the first to do official extended universe stuff. Of course, there was other stuff going on too at this time. By, say, the mid-'80s, I think the first novels were coming out, spin-offs. There's series about all sorts of things, like Han before the saga started, all sorts of stuff like that. Of course, there were 2 made-for-TV movies featuring mostly Ewoks. Yeah, so the Dark Horse comic I'll talk a little about, just because, again, Shadows of the Empire, I wanted to get a Star Wars one. There's several out there. Some are very old material. By old, I mean chronologically, like Old Republic stuff. Although that's not Dark Horse, sorry. But Dark Horse does deal with various stuff. The other big one that there's several volumes of is Rogue Squadron, which takes place around the time of the original trilogy because its main character is Wedge Antilles, the rebel pilot, who is present in all 3 of the original movies. And anybody who's a decent Star Wars fan is aware of him. Excuse me, and knows that too much caffeine. Not caffeine. What's the word? Carbonation. But that he starts out as a rookie pilot, just like Luke in A New Hope. Then he's sort of risen in the ranks a little bit in Empire, and I think he's Red Leader by the time we're wrapping things up in the final battle of Return of the Jedi. So Rogue Squadron, usually I think most of it picks up after that, when they're still trying to secure the New Republic, and it's about Wedge and this team of pilots that he handpicks and the adventures they have. And there's quite a few of those. And this is the one that mattered the most to me because, like I said, because the video game always had me interested in it and getting the full story. Actually, about 6 or 7 years ago, I read at least 2 of these comics standing in the store because I remembered how it ended. So what else is in here, besides that story, is two additional stories. One, the middle one, I'd say, is very long. I think it's kind of weak, and it features Mara Jade, who is an Imperial assassin that I guess was tutored specifically by the Emperor. She's not a Jedi per se, but she does have some Jedi abilities. In later things that happen in the New Republic era, I guess, canonically, she is who winds up marrying Luke. But here she would still be Luke's enemy. So this picks up right during the end of Return of the Jedi when the second Death Star is destroyed and the Emperor is confirmed dead. And the Empire still exists, but it's sort of falling apart. And this follows her as she's attempting to finish up one last assignment she had to assassinate a crime lord. And I think it's kind of long and draggy. I don't care for it too much. But the last story, I think, is pretty cool. And it follows Yuri, is that her name? Yuri? Anyway, who we saw very briefly early in the comic, blonde woman there in the purple, who is the personal bodyguard of Zizor, but apparently she was not on the Skyhook, Zizor's floating palace ship thing that explodes at the end of Shadows. Anyway, apparently she wasn't there, and yeah, her deal is that she's a droid and one of only a and at first I thought that didn't really fit because in the Star Wars universe, droids were never seen to be this sophisticated, but they do make a point of saying that she's one of only a very small handful to be like, you know, seem human, seem like an android, like the people couldn't tell the difference between. And it's about her not wanting to be an assassin anymore and seeking out a specific scientist who can help reprogram her so that she can forget that past life and just have a peaceful life. Zizor's niece is still alive and she wants to reassemble Black Sun, so she enlists another bounty hunter, that large pterodactyl-looking fellow there, to hunt her down and bring her back because she's an integral part of building Black Sun back up because of I guess information she has stored. And so it's about that, and it really just follows her. It doesn't really intertwine. Eventually, we do get a little bit of we do get a little bit of Luke, Leia, and Han and stuff, although they aren't really entirely sure what's going on. Anyway, the last shot, things end well. In the last shot, she meets. There he is, Dash Rendar, just to confirm that he did in fact survive and that he's still going strong. Okay, so I like the Star Wars Expanded Universe, and this is what I like most about it, but I want to know more, and there's more stuff I want to delve into. Specifically, I like stuff around this time, though. I like the stuff that ties into the original trilogy, so it's actually really close to the Battle of Yavin. The stuff that centers on there. There's a Boba Fett omnibus, and I think that's the next one I would get. I flipped through it, has some pretty interesting art and that sort of thing, and everybody likes the idea of more Boba Fett. I think most people do anyway, and I think that's why in Star Wars, the Expanded Universe works, because even the most minor, insignificant characters you can think of have a following, and people want to see them doing stuff. And, you know, I don't know, there's a lot out there. Can I say it's all strong, it's all amazing? No. But it's interesting, and I want to get more into it. Let's say, so on to Aliens Omnibus. This is the start. Now, this came out in late 88, early 89, I think, so it came out before the third Alien movie, which I really don't have time to speak about, but I'll just say, when it comes to continuity and canon and, you know, taking what you want, I simply before I read this, pretended that it was done after Aliens. It was done. I despise Alien 3. And, you know, not because it's a horrible, unwatchable movie, but because of what it does to the story. The whole idea of killing off Newt and Hicks just off-screen, to me, is just bullshit. A complete slap in the face to James Cameron, who I thought did one of the best sequels of all time. I mean, I think I've said this before. If you told me sometime like in the early 80s that they were going to make a sequel to Alien, and that a new guy was going to write and direct it, and that they were going to try to make it more action-y than horror, I'd be like, what a terrible idea. Please don't do this. And then Jim Cameron comes and blows it out of the water, if you ask me. He's still my favorite director. I don't care. I know there's a lot of backlash. I mean, once you get popular, everybody hates you, right? But, I mean, I don't know. I think he's a great director. Anyway, so this is before that, and what's interesting about this is that basically it picks up right after, well, it picks up 13 years after, and remember, this is before Alien 3 came out, so it works as a sequel, and it's a much better sequel, if you ask me. And unfortunately, what they did was they changed names later on. The original issues, which might be actually probably worth something, have Hicks and Newt, but for the sake, so this is 13 years later, supposed to be following Hicks and Newt, but they changed their names later to Wilkes and Billy, and it follows a new mission that they're going on, and it's actually a lot more complex than in the first two movies. There's a lot bigger setup, and there's a lot more going on, but it is very satisfying. It's very good. The art reminds me a bit of Swamp Thing for some reason. I don't know, but yeah, I didn't get to say everything I wanted to say. But when we're talking about continuity, for instance, yes. Sorry, David Fincher, it's not your fault, but, you know, if you look up on the Aliens franchise on, like, Wikipedia or something, you can read all about how all the turmoil that script went through and how it changed so many times before it got down to what Alien 3 was, which was quite terrible. And it just makes you sigh and hang your head for what might have been. But this is a great read, this is very satisfying, and you don't have to do what I do, but how do I do it? I simply pretend this is the true sequel. Even though it doesn't have Ripley, it's still very cool, and I like it. And that's all we're going to talk about that for now, because I'm out of time once more. But I'll see you guys really soon. Peace. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.